Hi, I'm Brian, Service Manager at Whole Latte Love, and today I'm going to show you how to do some service and rebuild on a BZ group.
Okay, we've got the BZ13 here, but it's going to be the same on any BZ group pretty much, right?
Yep, the actual group component on the BZ13, BZ07, BZ10, yada, 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 all the way up to the big mamma jammas over here like the Matrix and Duo DE styles. This whole group head right here is the same. This is a little bit easier because you don't got to open everything up on the top to get in there.
Right.
Just take these 3 screws out.
You'll be able to do
right
exactly
off.
what we're going to show over here.
Yep,
Yeah. Okay.
but I'll show you on the harder one because who doesn't like seeing that?
Yeah, you always like a challenge.
I do.
Okay.
That's why I work with you,
not
Mark.
very challenging. Oh, really? Okay. I see where this is going.
Yeah. All right, so first thing we're going to do is start disconnecting everything up here so you can actually see what you're working on.
Okay.
Got 2 wires going to your thermostat. Go wiggle.
Now on this machine, when we go to put those back, does it matter which goes where?
It does not, but it's just going to kind of work the way that they go in there. Yeah.
Able to see.
The black one's usually in the front, so won't matter too much either way.
This is a BZ13 DE, so you have that big white shrouded ribbon cable there.
Yep.
Thing.
Yeah, on the PM you'll have something similar, but it's just loom of wiring going over from this side where this one switch is.
Okay.
And that you wouldn't really need to unplug anything else, but this guy's in the way, so the ribbon cable, it's not a clip on it. What I like to do when I'm pulling it out is just kind of rock it back and forth as I pull it out.
Okay.
And then just tuck it over here so it's not in the way. Same thing with these wires. And there's a couple different routes that you could go here if you want, depending on whether or not you want to work on the entire thing. We're going to say you want to work on the entire thing, so I'm going to take all of it off. First thing you're going to want to do is grab a 15mm wrench and break free right at the top here. Compression fitting. Thought I had it looser than I did. Grip test.
Yeah.
Grip test. There we go.
And that's compression fittings. When you put it back together, you don't got to put anything on it.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Then we got these 3 4mm screws. They do have stop washers on there, or lock washers, stop washers. Stop washing. So that can make it a little tough on first break off if you haven't done it before. So.
And just got your hand under there to catch things. Again, these would be the same as the 3 screws over, on a Matrix or a Duo DE.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, the exact same thing. They're 4mm Allen screws. You just don't have the lock washers in there, but they do put a little bit too much sealant on those screws. Sometimes they're tough sometimes. So just anticipate that if you're working on those ones, they do put a little bit of sealant on there. So. It can be tough, just be careful, don't strip anything when you're going at it, so you've been forewarned. I make it sound worse than it is.
Okay.
That way when you do it, you're like, what was he whining about?
Yeah.
All right, I got one left here. Whoop. All right, now, that
looks really clean, at least that part.
That part does, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get the rest of these out of here so I can show you the rest of this.
Okay.
Dropping things. There we go. You start getting out of alignment, then everything's hitting the bracket they all hangs on, and there we go.
Okay.
I was just hung up on the housing. All right, so when you pull down on this part, you'll notice you have your heater in there.
Yep.
So just be mindful that that's in there when you go to put everything back together. You gotta put it in, slide it up like that.
Okay.
But that is down there. So
depending on the machine, you might have more than one, right?
Yes. Some have a heater on both sides. Some only have one side, like BZ13. So it all depends on what you're working on.
Okay.
Now you can clean this out if you want. You can inspect it for any scale buildup that may be in here. If you did want to take this out and give it like a little descale bath or something like that, you're going to want to take your thermostat off before you do that.
Okay.
The rest of it's fine to put in there. you'll probably want, this is a little bit of heat transfer compound. This helps move the heat from the heater through the block. So if you do soak this, you probably want to clean that off and just apply a little bit extra. There's still going to be, you can see it on the element itself, but if you take this on and off a few times, you really should reapply it just because it helps transfer everything a little bit easier.
Is there a little under the thermostat as well?
Yes,
there is.
There is. Yep.
Compound? Yep, okay.
So
same thing. You're going to take that off, that just unscrews right out of there.
Yep.
Big deal. Okay.
Yeah, it's 16, another 16? Yeah. 17 millimeter, yeah.
But pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, there's no, no sealant or anything like that. It's just the transfer compound that you're going to want to use.
Okay.
So we took that all apart, and it's sitting in a descale right now. It's getting nice and fresh.
What do we look at here? We got a gasket up there?
We got a gasket right here, and that's what creates the seal between that top heater block. So the water's going to come through here, out here, down there, and that creates the seal between those two pieces. So you want to make sure that that's in good condition.
Okay.
If it's cracking or it looks like really flattened, this should be rounded. Easier to grab with a pick when you don't have fingernails. There we go. So it is round. It is not a flat gasket. So if it is really flat, you would probably want to replace that just because it won't make as good of a seal if it's flat.
Okay.
As long as you still got that rubbery, elasticy, everything's bouncing back and you're not seeing any cracks in there or anything. I like to put a little bit of lubricant on it when I put it back on. Makes it easier to take it off the next time and kind of protects it and makes it last a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay.
And the
other end here. So this is, you got the shower screen, dispersion plate, and the group gasket. So you can go about this, if you want to do this on the machine, you don't need to take everything off just to get to these parts right here.
Yeah.
So
we're just going deep. Yeah, I mean, we could have left that all on there, right? And just take it if we just want to clean this onto things.
Yeah, if you just want to clean out your screen plate and replace your group gasket, it all can stay on there just like that. Depending on like the Matrix and Duo, you don't have as much clearance here, so you're going to need either a stubby flathead or one of these ratcheting ones like that I got here. Makes life a little bit easier to get in there and actually break that off.
Okay.
When you replace these, people tend to put these on a little bit harder than you really need to. I always recommend just do it finger tight and then just like a smidge tighter just so it doesn't shake loose when you're using it. Any tighter than that is just really overkill and you're going to strip it out eventually and make your own life a living heck. So.
Okay.
All right. So again, you can do any of this with on the machine still. This is a round gasket. So it sometimes is a little slippy to get out, but using a curved, well, this used to be more curved than it is now, but that style of a pick helps with getting underneath it and popping it out a little bit better.
Now that one's in really good shape, right?
Yeah, this is in pretty good condition. And it's just like any other group gasket. It's give it that flex test, move it around, make sure you don't see any cracking. Again, with making this one being round, make sure it's not getting flat and starting to look like a gasket you'd see on like an ECM or something like that, flat on one side. Because that would definitely be bad on this. So, so yeah, if give it a check, you can clean it off, add a little bit of lubricant, and put it back in if you want. This is one of the ones I definitely don't recommend taking it out unless you plan on replacing it though, just because of the way that you have to get in there. When you go like that, you're going to start tearing up the sides. It's going to start getting coffee oil in there and it's going to degrade it way faster.
Okay.
So I more prefer doing the old poke it,
flex test?
Yeah, flex test. Yeah, poke it and see if it leaves a small mark and that mark quickly dissipates. That means it's got good elasticity left in it and it's good. If you try to press on it and it feels like you're poking on your counter, then it's old and you definitely want to replace it.
Okay, all right.
So.
The rest of the stuff here.
Rest of the stuff here. This is the rest of the group head right here. You have chambers that go through here on the top portion of it and out on this end. So you could use like a really thin pick and kind of ream those out a little bit. I don't know if you can see quite at the right angle of where I'm looking right now. I can see straight through it.
You can see, yeah, okay. Not so much.
Yeah, not as easy to see on the camera,
Yeah.
but you can.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can see right through those if you have like a straight pick like that. They'll go all the way through. This one almost goes all the way through. So something like that just to ream it out. What's nice about that with these is that you don't have to like soak this in a chemical.
Okay.
So, you know, we always try to avoid soaking things that have the chrome plating on them and Cavisa, Zappe, anything like that for any extended period of time.
It's okay for a short.
Yeah, it's okay for a couple minutes. Just
loosen things up.
Yeah, you get things loosened up a little bit. But whenever possible, we like to be able to try to avoid giving it a full soak.
Okay.
So this where it comes in really handy that you can get through all these areas really easily. And as far as, you know, cleaning out inside where the group gasket goes, if you use like Cavisa or whatever your favorite brand is, make your solution in a cup, get it in there, just get inside there, clean it out real good, because you always want to make sure that that chamber, the little ridge that the gasket sits in, is clean as possible so that the gasket sits flat.
Okay.
So, if you wanted to, say all this looked absolutely horrible and you want nothing to do with it, you do got your dispersion plate there, and that's totally safe to just throw into your Cavisa.
Okay.
Shower screen's totally fine to throw into your Cavisa.
Those will clean up real nice, that one anyways. It's not, that's...
Yeah, this one's not that bad at all.
Yeah.
It's when you start getting like the little individual holes there, end up having like just solid caked on coffee in there. Trying to get that off, you're probably going to end up damaging the actual like weaving of the screen on the other side of it.
That's time to replace that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So soaking them regularly and back flushing regularly will help prevent the need for doing that, but it's definitely something to watch out for.
So if you clean up that one, you can come out looking pretty close to this, right?
Yeah. This one, no doubt. You know, if I let that soak for 5 minutes and give it a quick wipe down, that's gonna turn out looking like this one. So I'm not worried about it. And then
you can just replace them if you want.
You can. Yep.
Okay.
It's your machine. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. So put that back together. Is there something we need to do? No?
Nope.
Before that?
No. Okay. Clean that. It'll come out looking like that. Yeah, that's just the... Oh, I'm not going to mix things up here.
Okay.
I stole this off another machine. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So we're just going to clean this guy out the other time. So get all our bits and pieces together. Movie magic. It looks actually brand new. So you've got your gasket. You just press right into place like that. Should go in just that easy. If it's not, then this isn't clean enough in here.
Okay.
Try again. And then same thing as before. You've got your plate.
And that the way that goes together, you can't really mess it up because there's a ridge on the...
Right, yeah. I mean, in theory, you could kind of get it lined up like that, but then when you tighten it down, your screen's going to start to cave in. So that'll be a big indicator for you. But yeah, the part with the little mountain on it there goes screen side.
Okay.
That's what keeps the screen from caving in on you. This eyeball, drop it in. This is obviously much easier to do with it out of the machine than still on the machine. And like I said, I like to go hand tight.
Just a little.
Just a very little, like it was like a quarter turn.
Life will be easier next time you do this. Huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Something else that I didn't mention before, when taking this apart, I'm seeing I have my mark on here still from the last time we took this apart. I always like to take something and make a little mark on the screw hole for the one that was facing me when I took it out of the machine. Reason being, because where your wings for your portafilter go in, the orientation could change, and all of a sudden you're definitely not clocking at 6. You're somewhere way out there in left field. So you can always just double check before you put it on, but sometimes when you're in the middle of it and you're not thinking of it, you just throw everything back together. Full disclosure, the first time I ever worked on, first time I ever worked on one of these, I accidentally did that out in the field, and I felt a little silly. So
that's one of those. I only make that mistake once, hopefully.
I did. I felt so silly that I only did do that once. So and so making sure that's in good condition. Add a little lubricant if you want to. I always suggest it just because it helps prolong the life. As far as putting it back together, what I like to do is start with just the top part here. Don't need to fight with a bunch of different pieces all at once. And I'm going to take the heater, slide that on, and then go up. Okay. And we want to make sure it's lined up with the front there, but really want to make sure that it's lined up with these holes. If you don't get those lined up right, you're going to be fighting with it the entire time. So get each of those started in there. All right, now they're lined up. I can get this. I'm not going to go tight on this. Just a little something to help me hold it a little bit.
Okay.
If you move it around too much, things get out of alignment. If you feel like you're struggling to thread it in, then something's not lining up right. Give yourself a little twist at the top there, make sure they're still straight. Okay. And then grab from the top here.
Of course, make sure your group's oriented right when you stick it back in. So
yes, we got our little mark right there that we made, so that I know what's facing towards me.
Okay.
Then the tricky part to show on camera is trying to line up the holes with the screws, just so that you're starting out in the right spot and getting everything to stay put.
Okay.
I like to start with the front one. Up. We bounce. I think it's caught up on something there. Okay. Now, important part.
Now you're leaving that front one just a little slack until you get
just a little bit, not much. So I don't want it to move much, but if I need to be able to give it a little tap to one side or the other, but that's the perfect roll right there. I can feel it just sliding right in.
Everything's good and lined up.
Yep. So that's snug, snug, and snug. Then
you're cranking down pretty good on those, right?
Yeah, I'm just hand tight. I'm not throwing another tool on there or anything like that. But you get a little bit of vibration in the machine from your pump and all that stuff. Last thing you want is those starting to come loose and you get hot water spraying out of the top of it. So right now I'm just retightening the incoming water line. There we go. And just keep in mind, compression fitting, so snug but not ripping on it.
Okay.
And then we've got neutral side off the thermostat. And I'll do that next because it'll get in my way otherwise.
Okay.
As far as plugging the ribbon cable back in, the way that it's been sitting in here gives you that little arc down and in like that, kind of shows you how you're supposed to go in. But the side that has a little bump on it there, that's up top.
Of course, we're inside a DE machine, and it may look different in the BZ13 PM or other Bezzera Group machine. But
yeah, if you're on the PM, then you didn't even need to disconnect a ribbon cable or anything. It was just the stuff off the thermostat and your water line there. So make sure I get the other side of my heater on there, and we're all set, ready to fire it up and do a pressure test. I always leave the top off there until I've done a pressure test. Make sure you don't have anything leaking that may need to be tightened up. But as long as there's no leaks, you're good to put the top on, rock and roll.
All right, Brian, thanks so much for taking us through that.
Yeah, no problem.